InvestmentNews published an article a couple of months ago claiming that the CFA designation is still in demand amongst hiring managers when looking for finance candidates. And I, for one, am a bit confused because that stands in stark contrast to a couple of posts that I read on the CFA subreddit saying that the CFA program is now useless and nobody is looking to hire CFA charter holders anymore. So I don't know. The article starts off mentioning the fact that CFA exam registration is way down compared to the pre-COVID levels. And so those passing the exams are at lower numbers too, meaning the CFA designation is becoming a little bit more rare for people in the early stages of their careers in the finance field compared to where it was 5 years ago. And I think that's a good place to start a conversation around whether or not hiring managers still care about the CFA designation, because if you can convince people that they do, or give a few examples of people who are actually looking to hire entry-level analysts in the finance field that are on record saying they still care about seeing someone pursuing the CFA designation, then maybe you could say, hey, look, it does matter, and the pool's getting smaller. It's becoming rarer and rarer, again, in just in the last 5 or 6 years, for a newer analyst to have this designation, meaning, hey, it might make some sense. And what do you know, the writer of this article certainly does offer us a direct quote from the CIO of Avantax saying that, I want to read this word for word, the CFA program is a gauntlet of finance topics and concepts, and so much so that she goes on to later say that when she's looking to hire a new analyst, she looks for someone who has already attained the CFA designation or is at least working towards it, meaning like, you know, a CFA exam candidate. Huh, that's weird. This person is saying that the credential is not completely useless in today's marketplace. You know, Reddit would have had me fooled. On a serious note though, a little bit further in the article, I totally agree with the sentiment that the CIO of Avantax shares, which is that you don't necessarily need an analyst to know all the information that they learned and were tested on during the CFA program in order to be a successful analyst. However, the thing that the CFA charter, or at least seeing someone working towards the CFA charter, is best at is showing that, number one, that person has some serious aptitude, and specifically sometimes mathematical aptitude, and number two, they have a serious passion and interest in the finance field. Otherwise, they wouldn't have devoted 3 to 4 years of their life towards getting its highest designation available, unless they were totally crazy, that is. Next up, we have another quote referenced here, now from the managing partner of a franchise of a Stifel wealth management branch. This is the industry that I work in. This guy, Kenneth Sanchez, says that he agrees that the CFA designation is valuable for his team members to aspire to or already should have when they're being hired and throughout their career. So not only does he utilize it for trying to identify new hires to their firm, but he also sees it as a benefit, as an advantage for those employees that have been with him for a while, that he wants to continue to be with them for a while. So that means not only is it still a rite of passage, at least for this one hiring manager, but he also sees a tangible benefit from his employees who have it. Man, that isn't what I heard on Reddit recently. I think you understand the point I'm making here, that I believe this article very appropriately made. So I'm only going to share one more quick quote that it references in this video, and then we'll talk a little bit about what some of these things mean. We have Steve Rubel, the Director of Portfolio Solutions at Amplify Technology, who says the designation, or the pursuit of it, CFA exam candidates, is an important factor for certain positions within our firm. That's pretty clearly indicating that there are going to be some ceilings for analytical positions, or maybe even potential future portfolio managers, if they don't pursue or have the CFA designation. This to me sounds like the guy saying, yeah, you have to have it to get to a certain level within our firm. That shows a serious amount of respect that he gives to this charter and those who have earned it. The last 2 points that individual makes is that the CFA charter basically illustrates a high degree of work ethic and character. Those are another couple of points that I totally believe to be true, not only because you had to be crazy to sacrifice 3 to 4 years of your life to studying toward these things, but because it would be impossible if you didn't have a serious work ethic. It's just, from a hiring manager's perspective, it's such an easy qualifier to know if someone is a hard worker or not. There's no way they could have the charter without being a hard worker. And in some cases, when you're looking at someone who doesn't have the charter, there's no way to really know if they are or not. Now, all sarcasm aside, there are certainly conversations to be had around the continued value of the CFA charter. I've posed some of the issues on this channel, namely around how the Institute has adjusted some of the curriculum. There are also very real concerns to be had around if an entry-level finance analyst will even be a position at all in the next 2 to 3 years, because that role could be completely replaced with AI. These are all very relevant things to consider. However, I believe most conversations on the internet in the last 18 months about the charter not being worth it at all anymore, certainly the conversations around the charter not being valued anymore, are sort of baseless. So it's refreshing, at least for me, it's refreshing to see InvestmentNews publish this article claiming that, hey, there are certainly still people in the industry, a handful referenced here, but thousands and thousands of others that do still care about the CFA charter. It is still valuable. It's something people still look for. And CFA exam candidates, because of the very first point that I made in this video, are now becoming a rarer and rarer breed in the finance field. And they should be encouraged by that. They should know that, hey, I'm a hotter commodity, or at least I'm a less available commodity than I would have been 5 or 6 years ago. And so not only is it a lot of valuable information still, but it can seriously make a difference in getting a finance job, switching industries into the finance field, or being able to climb up the ladder during your career. Maybe the last thing I'll note in this video is that even though I am describing the value that the CFA charter still holds, it wouldn't be fair if I didn't mention that there's still one variable on any resume that is going to supersede, it's going to trump the CFA designation. If someone has this specific resume line item, they're almost a guarantee for getting any job that they want in the industry if they have ever hit a 10-leg or greater parlay on any sports bet, because most people in the finance field know that gambling is the best form of investing. And so if you can demonstrate that you have burned enough of your own personal net worth through 10-leg parlays on, your FanDuel account, but you continue to do it, you never gave up, and you continue to do it until you actually hit one, there's more dedication in that than anything else on this planet. And so you're going to be a shoo-in. You might actually be able to skip a few tiers in the career and sort of start off as a portfolio manager at 22 years old, assuming that you've accomplished that task. So never give up through your FanDuel's account. Really chase your dreams there and go for it all. Like the girl from Shark Tale said, bet it all.